What's the haps? I'm John, aka Meroka, and welcome to Spiel. We're in Golden Rook this week, which is a slimy kind of stratum, so I'm bringing a Acheron, which is OP, and I'll work for anything else I happen to bump into, and I'm still charging up this old thing. Haven't played a lot this week, indeed, I don't think at all, so that's, yeah, that's going to be a slow process leveling that up. It's kind of a lull in the content, although let's lunge straight into some Spiral Knights news and take a look at the guild message of the day that's in the bottom left corner there. Now, we've seen that message before, and that turned out to be an elaborate, or not so elaborate, kind of crude actually, kind of hoax, like, oh, the Gunner update is here, it's going to arrive, it's going to be here tomorrow, and it just totally wasn't. However, Sky Scythe generally seems to be a bit more of a verifiable kind of... I don't know how verifiable he is. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he does seem to know things before they happen for some strange reason. I think he just spends every waking moment perusing Spiral Spy to see if there's anything in it. But given that the Gunner update content has been in the game files for the last 9 months... I don't see how Spiral Spy would particularly give the game away in this particular instance, so consider me confused. However, there is a thing there that says Gunner Update release date on the 8th of June 2014. I suspect that's supposed to be 6th of August, but I think he's from one of those countries that does dates backwards because they're crazy and backwards like that. So yeah, it's I presume that's tomorrow. So I have a, there we go. We've got a question to answer in this show. Wonderful. Being asked in the show. Okay, let's, I'll do that one in a moment, but let's carry on with the news. So that's kind of fortuitous timing. Interesting. Yes, more news. We got it's a new month, there are new updates. The monthly prize boxes do seem to be a recurring thing now. We had the titanium lock boxes throughout July, and now we move on to August, and we have seen the arrival of some silver lock boxes. So we're clearly going to run the spectrum of the periodic table, or minerals and elements, and I guess that kind of thing. Geological stuffs and chemical stuffs. I don't know. Whatever broad sweeping term you want to use for that kind of thing. At any rate, this month is silver, and in there are a bunch of standard accessories and a few exotic new accessories that were not previously available. There is a kind of a weird kind of tube that you can wear on your back that carries some scrolls, which looks kind of cool actually. I kind of like that one. I think that one will go in the wing slot. There is a new kind of goggle in case you were lacking goggles in this game. This one's kind of got... I don't know, it's kind of like a really exotic, almost steampunk kind of thing, like a jeweler's glass. It's got different lenses and stuff on it. Kind of weird, but also kind of cool. And I have also seen... Have I seen any others? I forget what else there is. There are a couple of other items, and I forget what they are. So, oh, there's some crazy shades that are big and jagged, and they look like they would be worn by some ostentatious, elaborate personality kind of thing, like a rock star. I'm quite sure it's actually a reference to something else, but I can't for the life of me think what it is, and the forums were not forthcoming on that one. No one said, oh lol, that's a reference to so-and-so, and I was like, ah, damn it, I kind of... They're big pointy shades, and I'm sure I've seen them on some iconic character somewhere, and I can't for the life of me think what it was. Hello, Spark of Life. I've not seen any of them in a while. They've been a rare drop of late for me. I'm okay with this. That's cool. I will take some of those. I'll make up for the ones I lost during the Torture Drone promo. Now we've also got the Rose Regalia back, so let's do the usual. Let's take a look at the Energy Depot. If we go to the Purchase tab, we have Rose Regalia prize boxes. Are we going to get... There we go. They're going to get a nice picture showing you what they look like. We have got the Amethyst one, which is on the... Is it Amethyst? It is, yes. Amethyst is the kind of the bright pink, the hot neon pink kind of one on the right. You've got Citrine, which is the yellowy one on the left, which is kind of odd when you consider we've already got 2 in the pinky purple kind of end of the spectrum and 1 in the yellow, although they're a bit more subdued. These are quite bright ones. And then there in the center is not actually a blue one, that's actually prismatic, so that'll match your personal color. So that would be kind of cool. However, that one is a rarity. The prismatic hat is like a 1% drop chance, and the prismatic tabard is like a 3% drop chance from the box. The others are, I think, 35% on the hat and 60 30, I don't know, somewhere at 30 something and 60 something for the hat and tabard. I forget the exact numbers. And they are your usual price points at $4.95 for one, $19.95 for 5, or $50 for your 14 if you want to go crazy and wild on them and support this game with your monies. I already have my hat. I'm pretty happy with it. I'll stick with that for now, thanks. But if you do not yet have a stylish and elegant hat with which to impress your peers, then certainly that's one that's worth looking at. I actually wouldn't say no to a prismatic one. They're probably pretty nice, but they're probably pretty expensive as well, so I might not be seeing one of those anytime soon. I don't think. So I have a party invite, which I'm not going to take. I never take those. Ooh, excuse me. Let us do Annick's question, which just popped up in the middle of the show. Annick says, "Do you believe in ghosts?" I saw the what's it called? I saw the chromalisc. He ate. He presumably ate my silver lockbox. Do I believe in ghosts? No, not particularly. There is little evidence to suggest that they would be a thing. I am very much a skeptic when it comes to matters of the paranormal and that kind of thing. I would like to see some evidence, and there is little evidence that anyone has ever presented in the realm of ghosts and the paranormal that cannot be reasonably easily debunked by anybody in the scientific field. A lot of people are like, oh, you can't prove that, and then someone usually kind of just goes, yeah, actually you can. There is a channel, I think I probably promoted him before, but I'm going to mention him again, just because actually I really like his stuff, and he has nowhere near enough subscribers for the quality of the content he makes. Captain Disillusion, he's only got like 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he does some really high quality professional stuff. Proper professional video making stuff, so he deserves to be way bigger for the amount of effort he puts into this. And he just generally takes those kind of stuff like ghost videos, and some people are like, oh, it's so convincing, it's a real ghost live on camera on YouTube, and he'll just go through stuff and just straight up debunk it, and it's just like really great stuff. And he'll do that with all sorts of stuff. He's gone through like Darren Brown tricks and stuff, the really impressive ones that everyone's like, oh my god, how did he do that? Like when Darren Brown, if you're not familiar with Darren Brown, he does a lot of sort of psychological sort of trickery kind of things. It's almost magic, but more psychological. He's big on British TV. I don't know whether he's ever made it overseas, but at some point he did winning the national lottery. Is that the second danger room I've gone past? I think it is. Yeah, he live on camera during the drawing of the national lottery, pulled out all the correct numbers. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, why is he not a millionaire then? Why is he still busy making TV shows instead of rolling around in a pile of money?" This is clearly because it was an elaborate illusion. And Captain Disillusion was just like, "Yeah, this is how he did it. Or at least this is how I'm pretty certain he did it. It's how I would have done it if I were him." That's kind of... I think he's got a lot of background in filmmaking, so yeah, he can go... He's done some stuff on ghosts and stuff as well, and any kind of ghost, any kind of video trickery, he'll just go, yeah, this is what's wrong with it. This is... You should not believe in any of these things. But he does it with a lot more flair and flamboyance, and it's a pretty good show. He hasn't made much video content in a long time. In fact, I don't think he's made any content in over a year, with the exception of one silly thing he did for April Fool's Day, and that was it. So I wish he would do more, but he hasn't done anything in a while. But it's definitely worth going back and looking at his old stuff. Yep. If you're into skepticism and things, he is your man. You should be checking out his stuff. So that's that. That is a little spot of impromptu skepticism in the show. So we've got some questions that were... I think one was from last week, one was a little older. We've got Lord Fortress asked last week, if you could make the end boss in Spiral Knights, what would you create? Asking this one because in my opinion, the boss should be the corrupted Alpha Squad leader or an ancient droid knight left by the makers of Cradle. Interesting ideas, interesting ideas. I personally, honest to God... I've talked about Spiral Knights endgame stuff before, and the one thing I really want to see in Spiral Knights is raid content. Things with big groups of people. I used to play World of Warcraft back in the day, so I've not done really big raid content, but I did like 10-man stuff. And just trying to get 10, or indeed on a few occasions 25 men to coordinate reasonably well to defeat a really powerful challenge is really freaking satisfying, and yeah, it's usually rewarded with some excellent loot as well. And that's the kind of thing I really like to see in MMOs, and it's why WildStar's kind of tempting at the minute. I believe the subscription's like a little bit more than World of Warcraft on that thing, so it's kind of not 100% sold on the price point for WildStar, but the concept of the game very much sells me, so I might well take a look at that. I think they got a trial thing going on for WildStar at the minute, so I may pick up the trial and have a mess about with the trial version and see how far I can get into that. So that could be cool. But yeah, there are enough things in Spiral Knights that you could apply this to like a big fight, and yes, it would involve implementing a system in which you had more than 4 people in a party. I'm okay with this, by the way. I mean, your standard World of Warcraft group system was you're supposed to go and play with 5 people. But in the case of these overwhelming challenges, suddenly like, okay, well now you need to get 10 people together. Oh, these ones are even more challenging. Now you need to get 25. Way back in the day, they did away with this after the first expansion or so, but there were 40 people, and those were... I never participated in any 40-man stuff, but they were notoriously chaotic. And I'm not saying we need to get 40 knights together to do some crazy overwhelming challenge, although that would be cool, but something like 10 man I think would be a kind of a cool, interesting thing. If you could get 10 people together to do a really hardcore boss fight, that'd be pretty cool. And I think there would be a lot of mechanics you could use to make things interesting. I mean, we've got some mildly interesting boss fights in Spiral Knights, but ultimately, there's not a dramatic amount more to them other than just pummel them into submission. There's a few, you know, variants on the theme, but ultimately it just involves mashing things until they die. And I do think there's scope for more to be done. I mean, we've got stuff like, say, the classes that you use in your lockdown. You've got your recons and your guardians and your strikers, and what's to stop us taking those and implementing it into some kind of raid scenario, some sort of extreme challenge, some sort of boss mechanic that would require, say, someone to be a guardian and to actually act in a tanking kind of role, to actually take the hits of the boss, because the boss hits so powerfully, only a guardian could live up to that hit. And maybe the boss has some kind of shield that a recon needs to take down with the recon's debuff in order for you to be able to damage the boss. I'm not actually sure what role a striker might particularly take, and I think I just saw a silver lockbox on there that it's not going to give me, because I haven't used any keys lately. But yeah, I think you could sort of implement those classes in a really cool way to make some interesting fights. I've given this one quite some considerable amount of thought, and another route I would really like to take is to force people to use specific gear. I mean, I've mentioned in the past, like your heavy plate armor, the stuff that's got... let's have a look at it. I've probably got like the Vanajuk rewards that nobody really seriously uses in any real context. We've got stuff like Ancient Plate. There we go. No real resistances to anything useful, but it's got a butt ton of normal health, like a ridiculous amount, plus a huge health bonus. You got like the shield somewhere down here. We've got an Ancient Plate shield, which again isn't terribly interesting, but it's got loads of health and loads of normal defense. And if you could have, say, a boss that will periodically deal a hit that would break any other shield in the game other than the Ancient Plate, or well, maybe you could mix it up. Maybe you could say the Tortodrone ones as well or something. So you got a little bit of variety and a few options. So if you had whatever the heavy normal defense Tortodrone shield was, that could work, or the heavy plate there. Those kind of things. If you could force one player to use that to act as a tank role, that's the only shield in the game, and say that shield would just break but not deal damage to the player if the boss hit that shield. Just dealt the exact right amount of damage that if you're wearing your Owlite shield, or your Crest of Almire, or your Barbarous Thorn shield, or whatever else your shield of choice is, it will smash. The boss's fist will go straight through your shield and break your face. So only one person in a specific role can do stuff. And then require other different things like, say, a freeze trap that requires one player to be wearing full freeze resistance. Anybody else trying to walk through the trap would just get frozen and damaged and killed really quickly, but one player who has a massive freeze resistance could walk through a freeze trap and get to a switch to stop some ads spawning or something that would periodically reactivate during the fights. See, I have gameplay ideas here. I can make this stuff, you know. I have thought about these things. This is the one thing I would dearly love to see in Spiral Knights, the endgame stuff, because it's the one place it's lacking. There's not a lot to keep players going once they're kind of got pretty well geared. Once you've got a loadout you're happy with, and generally speaking there's not a whole lot of incentive to keep going. I mean, I keep picking up occasional bits. I mean, we've obviously got stuff like the feral cannon, but I think even if I charge this up and get it to full, even if I did manage to get to 5-star heat level 10, when am I going to use it? Oh, that was kind of nice, but it still wasn't that nice. It's still damn so easy just to hit it with an effective weapon. So, once you've got a loadout you're really happy with, players do tend to stick with it. And you can keep making more stuff, but broadly speaking, I think a lot of people just come back to the same stuff over and over again. I think that's a lot of the problem with it. There's no real incentive to keep players coming back at the moment with this game, and endgame content would really, really help. Sure, you've got your shadow layers, and if you want the gear from them, you might have to run it a couple of times, but probably not too many times. It's a good source of resources, but what are you claiming those resources for, other than just to make more stuff, ultimately? So if you've done all the shadow layers, then I'm sure you've got a few danger missions. You've got, obviously, I suppose, Operation Crimson Hammer. If you've done that on tier 3, great, wonderful, good for you. Congratulations. But what am I here for? Why do I keep coming back? Vanajuk has been defeated. I think we're waiting for the gunner update and the core to be opened, I suppose, at this point. So I just want to see something to keep the veteran players who've been at this for ages and got all the gear that they reasonably want at this stage. Just something for them to keep coming back to. Although, if the message of the day is to be believed, maybe that could be tomorrow, or indeed, well, you know, today, as at time of video launch. Obviously, I'm recording this the day beforehand, so this is tomorrow for me. For I am a time traveler. I am come from the past to tell you that you will have a content update. You might have a content update on the day that you see me, because that's a useful way to do time travel. I'm not going to kill Hitler or anything. I'm just going to tell you on the day of the gunner update that the gunner update is here. And quite frankly, if it does arrive, I'll be doing a video on it, and well, you'll already know about it by the time this video goes live. Ooh, hey, 5-star item, nice. And yeah, it's kind of a bit redundant point, really, isn't it? Oh well. Never mind. Ooh, we've got a little bit more stuffs to the left. A bit more loot, I guess. I'll take the pill. I want that. So I'm not really sure what the end boss would necessarily be. There was a rumor probably better part of a year ago someone told me about, and I sort of dropped hints then that I was like, oh, someone told me they know what the next boss is going to be after Vanajuk, the tier 4 Vanajuk plus boss kind of thing. I'm not really sure the context, but, you know, next boss up. And it was like, oh, you can't tell anybody, you absolutely have to promise to, or you'll get banned for telling anyone. And I was like, well, why are you telling me? And I said, this is... I will again offer the disclaimer that this is a message from someone who knows someone. It's a message from me, from someone who knows someone who claims that they know someone at 3 Rings who told them about this. So make of that what you will. And it's been this long, we've not seen the content. There's been nothing to confirm or deny or suggest anything remotely. In fact, the story has gone in a completely different direction to suggest it's totally wrong. I'm feeling fairly confident I could probably tell you and not worry about it too much at this stage. It is, in fact, well, I have been told it is in fact going to be VOG. I don't for a moment believe this for a second. But make of it what you will. You had the story, you had the disclaimer, make of it what you will. Hey, this is the level where I missed the switch last week, isn't it? I think, probably. I think it is. I'm doing it the different way, though. I'm doing it backwards compared to last week. Let's see if I can remember where the switch was, because because everybody told me, oh, you stepped on the switch and you missed it. I know. Going back and watching it again, it's obvious, but at the time I was busy staring off to the side, I think, gawping into space. So there was that, yeah. Cool. So I've got a question from Greenlink to move the topics on. He says, which area would you most like research and eventually advancement to be done in, e.g. genetics, robotics, etc.? Greenlink, that's a fine question. That is a question I like. These are all fine areas, but I would go with Mr. Elon Musk. Mr. Elon Musk, if you are not familiar, is the guy who runs, the CEO of Tesla Motors, who make some of the finest electric cars in the world, so I hear tell. And he also runs SpaceX, which is the world's first, or world's most, certainly most productive commercial spaceflight enterprise at the moment. I guess Richard Branson and Virgin Galactic were doing something a while back, but you never particularly hear about them, whereas SpaceX are kind of, Elon Musk's company SpaceX is kind of in the news reasonably frequently. Everyone's like, oh, SpaceX is going to do this, SpaceX is doing that, SpaceX is launching a spacecraft, SpaceX is launching stuff to the International Space Station, and he's genuinely making progress, and he was like, yeah, I think one of his quotes was, he wants to put a man on Mars by 2025? Now, that's something I can get behind, because, well, NASA, there's this kind of, with governments and politics and stuff, there's a very anti-scientific sentiment, particularly in the US, because, you know, God is great, science is dumb, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's that. And then, you know, they'd rather spend their money on things other than advancing mankind by going to the moon and exploring space and whatnot. When in fact, I would agree with Elon Musk's sentiment, as he has said, that actually that's probably one of the most useful things you can do for mankind at the moment. This one's taking a long time to burn to death. Would you burn, cat, please? Can I shoot you? I can. Oh, cool. So yeah, I mean, one of the problems, or yeah, there are many problems facing mankind at the moment. One of those is certainly overpopulation, and the other one would be, I guess the other major big elephant in the room is obviously global warming. And basically, we are, give it 100 years or so, our planet's going to be possibly fairly uninhabitable, if we don't do a lot about it, and certainly there's going to be a heck of a lot more people in a heck of a lot less space, and that's only going to become more of a problem as time goes on. And it's a common sci-fi trope that the one thing mankind needs to do to perpetuate indefinitely, to you know, effectively make mankind immortal, is to leave the planet, to not shackle oneself to one doomed ball of rock indefinitely. For, you know, regardless of what we're doing to the planet Earth, if we don't leave within the next 5 or, you know, give or take billion years, at some point the sun will explode and it will destroy Earth and we will all die. That's just how stars work. That's kind of just the way of the world. So that's kind of a thing. And ultimately, we kind of need to be looking at, you know, settling other planets, and beyond that, you know, give it a few centuries or millennia to work on it. We should then presumably at some point be looking at something interstellar beyond that. We're going to head to other planetary systems, exoplanets and stuff outside of the solar system. That's really the only way mankind's going to perpetuate itself indefinitely. And then once we're interstellar, you know, we're pretty much set. You know, we got to find a planet that's got a few more billion years left in it, and we can just keep going. It's like, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I suppose you've got the ultimate problem of entropy and the heat death of the universe, but in that instance, I think we've got more like a few trillion years to go on that one potentially. I'm not sure the exact timescale on heat death of the universe. It's a pretty big timescale, broadly speaking. So I think we're okay on heat death of the universe stuff. It might not be trillion. I might be totally exaggerating when I say trillion, but yeah, I think. Ooh, hello, Nick's here. Hi, Nick. I thought you quit this game. So yeah, we got a while, but we need to be working on moving forth out into space. Stop trying to hit me, Nick. Do I have to hit Nick? Don't make me hit you. I can get away without killing him, but he's going to drop me 50 coins, so boom. What? What happened to... There used to be a thing where imposto cubes were a guaranteed 50 coins if you killed it. The big gold coins. Crowns, what have you. Okay. Apparently that's not a thing anymore. Oh god, oh lord. Ah! Oh, this is a bit I always mess up. This could be interesting. Do I have any vials? I have vials. I could possibly do this with vials. I'm going to have to do this with vials, aren't I? Okay, so let's... we do that. And then throw one of those. Throw one of those. Nope, one of those. Let's just go through. No! Resurrect, 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 resurrect. Quick, 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 quick. And dash through. Yes, I'm okay. Woo! Emergency revive for the win. Sweet. I always have trouble with that gate. Damn it. So yes, space travel is the future of mankind in my book. I think we need to be looking to get off this rock at some point, and then out of this solar system at some point beyond that. And then we will be good. We'll be good for a few billions or trillions of years. Unless we create... It would, I mean... As long as we're kept in a small place like Earth, it's pretty easy to sort of create a giant nuclear war that would wipe everyone out. But once you're stretched out over a space across the galaxy, it'll be incredibly difficult by anyone else, or even by us through civil war or what have you, to wipe everything out. So it's just very, very unlikely to happen at that point. We're pretty much good to go. So that's that. Anyway, we do have something I totally forgot to check, so I'm going to have to open my notepad to find out something. I do have an announcement, a more of a personal announcement, in that as I mentioned last week, I've just passed 1,000 subscribers, so that is fantastic and amazing and wonderful, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. That's absolutely incredible. I can't believe 1,000 people would want to listen to what I tend to ramble about. But apparently you do, and I like that a lot. That's really cool. So I need to give someone a game key. So it's going to be on the screen, first come, first served, as all of my game giveaways have always been. So what I think I'm going to offer up this time is... I got a lot of old games, and I got a few more recent stuff. One of my favourite games in recent times has been, and I do have a spare key for it, so I shall use it, Tower of Guns. Let's have a Tower of Guns key, so that will be appearing on your screen right about now, so you may scramble to key that one into your Steam library. First come, first served. Please do enjoy that, whoever grabs that, and let me know that you've got it, because that way I can go, woo! Person who got it, congratulations. Well done. Let's have a nosy at Basil at any rate. We are a little early today, so... Has Basil got anything fun for us? He has a mercurial helm. Those are rare but tricky to sell. They're not in high demand. I mean, I was after one for the longest time. Royal jelly likewise. They are boss recipes, but they're not ones that everybody needs. Kind of stuff more like your Grand Faust is more the sort of thing that would sell quite comfortably. But there you go, so that'll probably just about do it for today. We are at Terminal after all. Don't forget to go check out, there'll be a link in the outro below and in the description, outro in a moment and in the description below. Go check out my Patreon campaign, because there will be a bunch of rewards for people who want to support me that way, because I'd really like to engage with the community, and that is a really good way for you to have your say in what appears on the channel and how it is run. So, please go take a look at that. I will also attempt to do something in the near future in celebration of the 1,000 subscribers. I still haven't really come up with much good for that, so I don't know what, but something. If you have any suggestions, not subscriptions, leave them in the comments below, and I will have a look and consider and contemplate. And if it's cool, I'll give it a go. But that's that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. You have all been wonderful as always. I have been Meroka. This has been Spiel, and I shall see you next time.